Well, this is going to be a very unusual show. As you can tell, Bradford Ferguson is behind the wheel of his borrowed Tesla with FSD version 12. He's been across the country, picking up various folks along the way, getting their impressions, allowing them to get a chance to drive it. Bradford, are you having a good time?
Yeah, I'm having a good time. Version 12 has greatly improved on version 11. We were just in a sticky area where it really wasn't obeying the map, and we were having to intervene quite a bit because this is not knowing where to go. We're about to get on the interstate. We're in Memphis, Tennessee. We started in Sacramento, and we're driving all the way to York and back using V11 on the highways and V12 in the city streets. V12 is very comfortable, smooth, but it does tend to make some more mistakes on city streets than version 11 does. But it also corrects a lot of mistakes that version 11 does as well. So right now it's not turning right here. So not sure what's going on with the map. Hopefully you don't need a reset or something. But okay. Yeah, let's get into the Tesla news.
Okay, all right. So I thought the most interesting part of your trip so far was the James Dalma conversation, where he said that he can see where it would eventually be 100 times less frequent on the interruptions.
Yeah, I think they're laying the base for that. I got Dax here. Dax, what do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. You think about it, it's actually, I don't want to say a rewrite, right? They took out so much code.
Right.
If this was a different program, they would call it, like, we went from Windows 3.1.1 to Windows 95, right? It's that big of a difference.
Well, okay.
And just to go from V11 to V12, I think it almost does a disservice, right? I'm not complaining about their naming. It's really a completely different program.
Yeah. And so, the reports of it being as smooth as butter and very human-like?
Very much so, yeah. And much more assertive, right? In a very confident kind of way, not jittery and braking and accelerating in a uncomfortable way.
Right. I think there was a video you guys took earlier today where it made a decision to actually turn left where a opposing car would have normally had the right of way, but where the driver was distracted on his cell phone. That was pretty aggressive.
Yeah, it makes some moves like that where it has the leeway to be able to pull it off. It's not necessarily road legal, but it might be something I would do every now and then. I'm noticing there's times where you'll have a normal green light and the person that's proceeding across the intersection, they just wait too long to go, and V12 will just go ahead and turn left right in front of them. Yeah. And that's something I'll do. Like, if people are just waiting too long, I'll be like, okay, well, I guess I'll go. If you're not going to go, I'll go.
All right.
Bringing a little sass, a little human attitude to things.
So earlier today, let's talk about some of the news. We've got Andre Forfink. He is reporting that the Tesla Gigafactory Berlin, together with its workforce, has decided today to make a statement on Friday, March 8th, tomorrow. And they'll meet in the lobby of Gigafactory. They want to show that they will not be interrupted by these terrorists. They're calling on all of their employees, all of their families, all of the neighborhood, everybody in the whole area, anybody that's got some time to come over and participate with them in this event. They're going to take out their phones at night, and they're going to put up all their phones like they're at a concert and let their flashlights sign and wave and do all that. Maybe they'll sing some songs, I don't know. But everyone in the region is invited to come and give a show of force to these idiots. I'm sorry to use the word, but that's really what they are, who's for some weird reason think that this was a wise way to interfere in the business of this factory that employs tens of thousands of people and is making a big, big difference in the economy of Germany.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of video comes out of this. They have the chance to make a really poignant statement, to put a face behind Tesla. These I'll call them unionists, because they are not for the environment if they're against Tesla.
Right.
These unionists are basically just against Elon Musk, and I think it'll be good for the public to see more of the 140,000 faces that are at Tesla, the employees of Tesla.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe it'll send a message to the rest of the European unions, to back off a little bit. I mean, let it, if you want to have unions, do it through the normal way, not through interfering with the actions or the activities of a company that's doing so much good.
Yeah, violence is not the answer, and Tesla's doing quite a lot of good work. And this whole situation has really catalyzed Germany's support for Tesla. It hasn't caused Germany to weaken its support. It's
Right.
caused them to strengthen it to the point where they're considering new laws and protections to prevent this from happening again in the future.
Yeah, that would be the German way for sure. So Sawyer Merritt is reporting that Tesla will start deliveries of the Model Y in Malaysia next week. That sounds like really super good news. One more of the Southeast Asian countries or the Asian countries joining in the distribution of Teslas. Should help the China factory to hit its numbers.
Yeah, Tesla does. They have an opportunity to expand to many more countries, and this is just another step in the way. I think they want to, grow to be able to serve like South America eventually. I think these markets will come in time for sure.
Right, right. Yeah, they've actually started, I don't know if they started deliveries. They've set up an office in Chile. So, South America is definitely on their radar. And then Tesla had a couple of legal wins today. So again, Sawyer Merritt reporting that Tesla Giga Berlin, speaking of Tesla Giga Berlin, has won the dispute over the Works Council elections, despite the opposition of IG Metall, the union's management group or whatever they are. The court ruled that the company could hold elections within the time frame it had previously set. So it wasn't a huge victory, but at least it's showing that, Tesla can get some justice even in Germany.
Yeah, that's definitely good news. It's great to hear.
We also had some Tesla owners trying the class action route, sued Tesla over false range advertising. They lost. So now they lost on kind of a technicality. The contract with Tesla, when you buy the car, includes an arbitration clause, and that would have been the correct remedy. You have to go through arbitration if you've agreed when you bought the car to go through arbitration. So 2 victories in a single day.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when that was filed. It seems to be that was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That's great to hear that Tesla won that. You're sharing the good news on a Good News Thursday.
Of course. That's what we want to. We even had an update. We even had an update today. So so let's talk about Rivian. Forbes reports it this way: Rivian founder and CEO RJ Scaringe announced a project's pause. In their Securities and Exchange Commission filing, they're going to slow down or pause their plant that they were building for $5 billion. So they're putting a pause on that because they need the money, they need the capital in order to be able to continue progress on their new products that they're working on now.
Yeah, they just introduced their R2 and their R3. Tesla, Rivian needs to focus their business, and I think they're going to bring new cost structure to their products. I think it's dangerous that they're adding yet more models when they have failed to achieve any kind of scale with the R1 platform, whether that's the truck, the SUV, and even the vans are not producing in great scale yet. It's starting to add up, but they're not at over 100,000 a year for any one product, and that's a recipe for losing a lot of money. It's good. It's great to hear that they put a pause on the factory in Georgia. And they've also shifted to one shift in their factory in Normal, Illinois. So I think that's good. And I hope they really bring a focus to their business. Also in the announcement, they talked about these special Rivian spaces where they buy real estate and they make it like this brand experience. That sounds expensive to me and unnecessary.
Yeah.
So I am concerned that some steps in the right direction, but some backward steps too.
Yeah. So somebody said, I don't remember who it was. I didn't jot it down, but somebody said that it sounded to them like a pre-new offering, decision. Like, okay, we need to get our house in order. We need to show some new product. We need to cut back on our capital outlays. We need to cut back some employees, make all these changes, and then we'll come back to the market and try to raise another 4 or 5 billion.
Yeah, issue stock. Yeah, I can see that happening within the next few quarters.
Yeah, it seems like they're not exactly sitting on enough cash to really do all the things they're talking, even by cutting back on the factory, but they're going to have 2 new products that they're going to introduce. There's going to be a huge amount of capital outlay for those 2 new products.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation, and I'm concerned for Rivian.
Yeah, and I'd say most of the people in the Tesla community are rooting for them, but that doesn't mean that we can't see some problems and issues with regard to their decision making.
Yeah.
The Market Watch reported on the consumer credit report today that was out. So total consumer credit rose 19.5 billion in January, up from 1 billion, less than a billion in December. In December. That translates into a gain of a 4.7% on an annual rate, up from obviously a very small 0.2 raise in December. The increase was almost double the expectations that economists had been predicting of about 10 billion. And they said that revolving credit, like credit cards, accelerated at a 7.7% rate after a 2.4% gain in December. Non-revolving credit, like auto and student loans, rose at 3.6 after a drop in December. So some economists are worried that high borrowing costs are putting more stress on consumer finances. I think I would add that high grocery store prices are putting stress on people's finances. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it's very challenging for most people to make things work financially in the United States. It's very tough. If you have a decent job, but like things are really expensive, and there's this American dream of owning a home, but owning home is at these interest rates is tough, and at these costs. We just had a furnace issue with our house, and we're gonna have to put out a good dollar to fix that. I'm guessing that's gonna be like twice of what it used to be.
Yeah, right. I'm hoping that I've been saying on this channel almost since I started that I'm hoping that my air conditioning, my HVAC system lasts until Elon starts building theirs.
There you go. That would mean it would last a long time.
Unfortunately, I think you're right. Anyway, so New York Fed President John Williams said last week he sees a risk of consumer strength, a major driver of growth last year, fading quickly. It could happen really fast. It has in other times where all of a sudden everybody gets outside their they got too much credit out there and their overall budget is in trouble and they start cutting back in a big way.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see it. We've seen the rising consumer debt, so it could happen. But let's contrast that against what Jerome Powell said, right?
Yes,
Are you going to share that?
We'll talk about that in a minute. But I did want to bring up the Bank of America last year said they thought that the consumer would run out of money at the end of summer. So while that's, they've got a lot of information in terms of what people have in their bank accounts and what they're putting on cards, with that information, they're still predicting what if they're off by a few months. But even if they're right, if the consumer starts running out of money at the end of summer, then what? That's the next, that could be the crunch. So as you pointed out, Chairman Powell did speak before the Senate today, and he did not provide any kind of precise timetable on when we would see easing happening. But here was the quote of the day, totally of everything we saw today. He says, "We're waiting to become more confident that inflation is moving sustainably at 2%. When we do get that confidence," and here's the diamond quote, "and we're not far from it, then it'll be appropriate to begin to dial back the level of restriction." He said that the cuts would be so that the Fed doesn't drive the economy into recession rather than normalizing policy as the economy gets back to normal. So that was the most dovish thing he said since December.
But he expressed a worry about recession as a reason of lower rates. But then like last week, he was talking about how, there's no evidence of a looming recession.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a tricky situation to be the Federal Reserve. Yeah, I wish there wasn't one committee like deciding what rates should be. I wish it was somehow the free market
Yeah.
that decided what rates were.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That would make so much more sense. They could just reset their rates to within, let's say, 0.5% of the Treasury rates, the 10-year Treasury. That'd be a way to do it. They could make some adjustments based on circumstances within that range or something like that.
Yeah.
It's too bad you and I aren't president or are in charge, or dictator for a day.
I just don't think it's like in the power of a committee of 12 or 26 or whatever it is to be able to forecast the economy and to, appropriately pull on these little strings and levers to, serve the economy.
Yeah, it is. And I actually spent a lot of time this morning on my show talking about the reality that the U.S. government seems to be horrible at collecting data these days, and the methods that they use are so antiquated. And then the Fed is probably the worst predictor of the economy of all the economists out there, even some really bad ones, with all the capabilities that they have. And with pulling it from 12 different regions of the country and then voting, they can't get the economy right.
Yeah, they collect an immense amount of data. If you ever want to fall asleep, read the Fed minutes for one of the meetings. And basically the minutes do talk about what happens in the meeting, but it also gives all the background that they collected in the last month or so. They're pretty aware of what's going on in the economy, but there are kind of random methods to what they're doing. They have these surveys. I guess it's kind of like investors, right? We have different methods that we look at, but still, I don't think the economy is something that's predictable. Anyways, let's move on from this one, Randy.
Okay. All right. So now all we got left to talk about, other than anything that you want to wrap up with, is that Tesla managed to hold on to the gains today. So only down 15 cents in the after hours. So roughly $2 up for the day. So nice to see a trend in the right direction again. And if we look at the bonds, we've got the bonds. Let's see, I'm going to double check this because sometimes it's slow. All right, so bonds are basically unchanged. The 10-year is up just 0.2 basis point. The 2-year is down 0.3 basis point. So no real action there. But listen to this. The 2-month is up 5.5 basis points, making that split almost back to 150 basis points again. Now, what in the world is going on there with the shorts going up that much compared to the longs in a single day? Maybe the Fed's statement, but what would be any thoughts on that?
So the 2 and 10 is 150 basis points.
Almost. It's up. Like I said, the difference today is 5.3. And I'm sorry, just in the pre-market, the difference is 5.3 basis points of difference between them in the pre-market.
Okay.
That's huge. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That much of a split. Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
What else? We got the oil has been pretty steady there at that. Let's take a look. Actually up again, tapping at the door. The Texas Intermediate tapping at the door of 80 again, up 48 cents in the pre-market. So, and Brent also up 38 cents in the pre-market. So it is, that's still a lot of people talking that it could go to 90. That would not be a good thing for our inflation numbers.
Yeah. Dax and I, we drove through Texas, and it's pretty brutal in the oil patch. It smells god awful. I don't know if that's from like the generators that are running the pumps, or if it's just from the methane off gassing. It was horrendous. And I don't think people are aware of like how bad the pollution is, like at the oil patch itself, like before you even burn it. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
All right. Natural gas down a little bit. It had been climbing. It is off a little bit tonight. We've got the dollar.
Is it still under $2?
It is well under $2. It's $1.07. Let's call it $1.80. So yeah, it has not crossed the $2 line yet.
We can thank the president for banning further exports, right?
Yeah. So, and the dollar is basically flat, and gold, you could call it flat too, only up $1. Still though, sitting right there at all-time highs for gold. Copper basically flat also. So not a lot of activity in those, at least that part of the commodity market. Bitcoin down at 195, but still sitting at 67,000. Any thoughts on Bitcoin these days?
Wow. So, Randy, people are wondering Monday if Elon was selling.
Yeah.
So if he was, I think we either find out tonight or we find out tomorrow morning. I think maybe it's tonight. So yeah, I'm wondering if that hits the wires like in a couple hours or not. Again, I'm on this cross country tour from Sacramento to New York City and back, and yeah, enjoying trying it out and seeing people's impressions on it. Tesla definitely has a lot of work in front of them, but it was great to have Elon comment on V12 and say that they were compute constrained.
Yep.
And basically there could be many different bottlenecks. It could be with your human labelers. It could be not having enough data. It could be with your processes. But Tesla is compute constrained, so they just need more supercomputers to be able to run through the data that they already have and make it better from here. So I think that's incredibly positive, but it will take time. Tesla is waiting in line behind Meta and Microsoft, Google, Amazon, as far as getting more GPUs from NVIDIA to crunch their data with.
Yeah, but he did also, as part of that statement, he said that the shortage of compute is something that's going to be solved shortly. He said.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
we would love to see your report by the time that you're going around and you're starting back across the country again, that your number of interruptions would be far less.
It'd be great if there was an update. I'm not holding my breath for it.
Yeah.
But at Rebellionaire, we're sharing videos of that on X and YouTube. And we're gonna look to have some other special guests that will drive version 12 or be in the passenger seat and see how it does.
Yeah,
And we'll be sharing that over the next couple of weeks on our channel.
Super, super, super. All right, we also want to talk about the equities. So the Dow futures down 27 or 0.07%. We've got the S&P futures down 1.75 or 0.03%, and the Nasdaq down. Wait a minute, I just lost my whole the screen went away. Look at that right in front of me. And then the Nasdaq futures down 47.75 or 0.26%. So sometimes that presages that we will have a soft opening in the morning, but not a tremendous amount of movement right now. So any last thoughts other than you need to be careful out there?
Yeah, we actually did have a really dangerous situation when we were far western Texas. We were in a divided highway, and the highway was divided by a fence, and there was a car on our side of the highway coming toward us.
Oh.
And Dax was driving for us, kept us safe. I think the person was just on something and not of the right mind.
Wow.
But we feel very lucky. There's another spot where we are on the same highway, but it's no longer divided, but you had like this danger lane in between. And for whatever reason, someone decided, even though it's 5 lanes wide total, they decided to do a 3-point turn like right in front of us.
Oh.
So they came all the way to the far right lane, which we were in, and then they started to back up.
Oh.
It's just kind of bizarre at night in Texas.
Oh,
You got to be careful.
I thought you had to worry about the cows, not the people. I see. Okay. All right.
So Ray, I gotta ask you a question.
Sure.
Are you buying in any NVIDIA stock?
No, I have no interest in buying high. I've never been excited about the idea of buying high. I'm not really a trader, never have been. I mean, yes, I did, as everybody knows, I did a lot of trading a couple of years ago and did quite well at it, day trading. But normally I'm not a trader. I like to take positions on companies that I trust. In fact, the one that I'm sad I never took, I really should have bought Costco because I'm a big fan of Costco and have been for like 20 years. So that was one I really should have I should have gone with my gut on that one.
Yeah, Costco is a good business for sure.
Yep. So how about you? Are you still buying NVIDIA?
Yeah, today we trimmed for some clients where we were just kind of doing some routine rebalancing.
Okay.
Overall, we were trimming. Yep.
Okay.
But we still have a position, but it's not a outsized position.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to do fine, but we might have had most of the run at this point. I'm not sure there's a lot of runway left.
Yeah. I do think it's underpriced, the businesses, but like the sentiment is, it feels sky high to me.
Yeah, so the biggest issue, and we've talked about this on my channel a couple of times, but maybe you'll have an opinion on it. The biggest problem for me, and maybe you were the one that even started the conversation about this, is that there's the barrier to entry is not that huge for either other members of the Magnificent Seven or for other companies to get into this chip spot. They may be behind in terms of the absolute quality, you know, of what they would be doing, but I don't think you have to be equal to NVIDIA to grab away some of their business when everybody's so short of supply.
Yeah, AMD is trying to do something. They've been late to the game to like make it really good. NVIDIA's done a great job over the years in investing in their software, making it really easy. I think that's a bit of an advantage. So it hasn't on their laurels, even though they're, you know, charging high prices for their product. They're continuing to evolve it. So I'm not so sure. I think a bigger threat is actually that, you know, maybe the need for inference compute will be lower. You can make these large language models pretty small,
Right.
and you can kind of specialize them, and then you make the cost of the inference compute lower.
Right.
But I foresee that like the need for training compute is it just keeps growing exponentially.
Oh yeah, and I have no doubt about the overall TAM. They've got a great business opportunity for that overall TAM, and they're taking advantage of it. I just wonder, commonly when there's that much activity, I mean, let's take a look at the robot. You know, the robot looks like a very, very hard thing to do, and yet there's now 21 companies in that space because of the activity. So I'm just
That's
thinking,
a good point.
yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people pouring into the chip space. That would be my guess.
Well, I think we could wrap it up there.
All right.
I appreciate you putting up with my schedule today, Randy. And thanks for sharing some good news with us on this Thursday. We haven't had many Thursdays with good news.
Okay, well, I'm glad we could do it tonight. And again, be safe out there, and we'll look forward to hearing more from you as you cross the country testing out V12. Good night. And to all of you out there, it has been great talking to you. If I can turn it off.